And let's go ahead and take a couple minutes just to say hi to some friends that are tuning in the chat. Give everybody a chance to check the audio, make sure everything is working. Let me know in the chat box below if you can see me and hear me. Those are checkpoints number 1 and 2. Hi, Janet, tuning in from Southern California. We got Kathleen from Atlanta, just up the road from us. We got Jan tuning in from Palm Harbor, a Florida neighbor. All right, awesome. Hi, Marilyn, tuning in from Melbourne. Marilyn, I owe you an email. Email me about the club, the Clammy Quilt Club bag. Send me an email, and I'll get back to you on that because I was just thinking about that today. Hey, Wendy, tuning in from Canberra, Australia. Awesome. Terry from Connecticut. Sheila from Massachusetts. My goodness, we got a lot of people chiming in. Looks like everybody's home on a Friday night like me. All right. So, hola, Linda. She's tuning in from Philadelphia. Awesome. We got Lisa tuning in from Northwest Connecticut, and Wendy, my friend, tuning in from Hawaii. Aloha, Wendy. Okay, great. Gloria says she can see me and hear me fine. All right, let's see. Vicky is tuning in. Gwen from Texas. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so for today, I wanted to show you all where I was with the project, and the idea was that I would be further along with the project than I actually am. So instead, we're going to start off the project, and I'm going to share some tips on marking the fabric and quilting and stuff like that. So, well, oh my gosh, Deborah says, hi, this is my first live. Well, hi, Miss Deborah. Welcome. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat. I try to get to all of them, but it's a little tricky when I'm working on a demo and still answering questions here. Let's start off with a quick disclaimer since it is 7 p.m. and now it is Eastern Daylight Savings Time. The sun is setting. My chickens will start to put themselves to bed. Oh, you can probably already see them. You see all the little white and yellow and black and white in the tree? The pecan trees behind me are full of chickens. So before you get distracted with watching them fly up and roost and put themselves to bed, that's where they're going to be. All right. So let's talk about the project that I'm going to be working on. I mean, I'm obviously not going to make it tonight on camera, but we're going to start it off together. And that way, if anybody's interested, or maybe you have a work in progress for this bag as well, because this was one of my projects from my Whip Wednesday. Oh my gosh, my brain. This project is one of the bags from my 2019 bag club, which is no longer available to sign up as the entire club. But let's go ahead and switch to this camera angle and put me in the little pop-up bubble. Perfect. Here I am. Let me know if you guys like when we do that, when we put the little picture-in-picture so y'all can see my face while I show my workspace. So this is my Stroll Crossbody Bag, and it's a project that we made back in 2019 when I launched the bag club then. Heads up, I am working on the next bag club, y'all. I wanted to show you some sneak peeks, but I can't just yet because then I put extra pressure on myself to hurry up and finish. So there is a new bag club coming out soon. Just be on the lookout for that. And of course, the same way that this one is no longer available as the whole group, you can sign up for the bags that I taught in that bag club individually, and this is one of them. When the new bag club comes out, you will be able to sign up for the entire bundle, and then after that it will go away, and then you'll have to wait till the club is over to sign up for the individual courses. So if you're kind of new around here, just stick with me, and as long as you don't miss out on my emails or these live chats, you'll be good and you won't miss out. So this is my Stroll Crossbody Bag, and here I have a couple samples. These ones were made up in waxed canvas, so you can see how the wrinkles and stuff, and if I crumble it up like this, you'll get even more wrinkles on it. Of course, I share tips on how to work with this fabric. It's super easy though. And if you don't like the wrinkles, like after you work with the fabric and you make the bag, you can always put a piece of cotton fabric over top and just lightly press it to kind of remelt this crinkled up wax cover on it, okay? And then it goes smooth again. So it has a zipper. It's a super simple pouch. I know so many of my students have sold these by the dozen because it's just like a little quick crossbody bag that you can throw over. It's fully lined. Now, there are no raw seams in this bag anywhere. Everything is finished super professionally. It's like the quickest, easiest bag that looks like it's a lot harder to do. So you can see there's no raw edges on the side seams, nowhere on the bottom. It looks really good. Okay, as far as the finishings go. And another thing I like about it is that it's quick and easy to make. You can work with a metal zipper. You can also use just the regular craft zipper. So, you know, whatever you have on hand, typically you'll be able to make you'll be able to use to make this one. You know, so if you've made zipper pouches before from some of my free tutorials, this is a great project. Now you can sign up for this class individually, like separate, just sign up for the video course on our website. The link is below in the YouTube video, and we're gonna go ahead and put it in the chat as well if you're watching on Facebook. If you have made my Stroll Crossbody Bag, go ahead and let me know in the chat. All right, so Lindy says, I've made over 50 of these. I love them. I use them and sell them. That's what I love to hear. So y'all know me. I love a quick little project that has a cute finishing touch. And I think for something as simple as this, that metal hardware, the hardware on the ends really just adds like a little extra touch. So, all right. Okay, so that's one wax canvas. This is another one in wax canvas. And you can see that we lined them in just cotton fabric. So this was a cotton chambray fabric. What did I use here? Quilting cotton. Super cute. Look at that little pop of design. I love that. And then on this one is going to be more in line with what I'm working on here. And I'll talk about that in a second. This one, can you tell that it has a little bit more body, but it's still super slim lined, okay? This is the cotton chambray that I use on the inside of the other pouch. I used it for the exterior here and I quilted it. And by looking at the size of this, y'all, fat quarters are all you need. You can make the outside and the inside of the same fabric using just one fat quarter. A fat quarter and a chunk of like extra batting. Fusible fleece, fusible batting. We'll talk about what I'm using here. And you can see the fabric, the exterior fabric is quilted. And this fabric, let me give y'all more close up here because I know the stitches kind of blend in. Okay, so the quilting on this is just done through the exterior. You can see again, because there are no raw edges inside of the bag, okay, the lining fabric is just completely smoothly finished like that. All right, so that's kind of what I'm working on here. Let's talk about this, what I'm going to be using. My fabric is this indigo dyed fabric from a friend of mine named Kelly, who if you've tuned into our flash sales in the past, you might have gotten your hands on a Flash Sale Friday bundle that featured some of her fabric. Every fat quarter is unique, and you can see, let me grab the full fat quarter. I'm only using a chunk of this. This is the rest of the fat quarter. So you still have plenty of fabric if you want to make several of these with just, you know, your not super small scraps, but like ear big-ish scraps, okay? So apparently tie-dye is all the rage right now. And so my daughter's doing this little bookmark selling kind of crafting at this little community center that she's going to. And so tie-dye pouch is what she wants, a crossbody. So we're going to do that using this dyed fabric. Okay, let's see. Oh, Gail says, I have the pattern and the fashion fuse for it, but I've never made it. Does that count? It kind of counts, girl. Maybe after you watch me start on this a little bit tonight, it'll give you a little boost to make your little Stroll Crossbody Bag. The prep work, if you're quilting, is probably the part that's going to take the longest. So we're going here. This is just 100% cotton that's been dyed. I cut this chunk off because I want this to kind of be like this. We'll see. Or like that. I'm going to play around with it, but because it had so many different textures and colors, I thought it would be fun to make the pouch out of this one. Then for the batting, I'm going to be working with a light fusible batting. This is a Bosel product that I love. It's lightweight, so if you've ever used like another product that we sell for bulkier things, the Bosel Duet Fuse, that's a double-sided fusible, and it's chunkier as far as the weight or the loft of the batting. This is a lightweight fusible batting, and it's only fusible on one side. So it costs less. You get a big bag. It's 1 yard by 45 inches. There's a ton here to work on a bunch of different projects, and it's perfect for what I need because I only need to fuse it to the back of my fabric. Only one layer. The other side, remember, it's a floating lining. So let's go ahead and open this up. We have links for all this. Remember, if you're new around here, you can always shop for these products with us in our online shop, and it's craftygemini.com/shop. So here's the fusible batting. I'm going to go ahead, since I've already cut the exterior fabric to size. I mean, I cut it a little bit bigger because I'm quilting. You always want to do that. If you're going to be quilting a fabric, we all know that the more you stitch through the layers and the more you quilt it, the more it shrinks in size. So say you had a project that calls for a piece of fabric that measures 10 inches by 20 to start constructing the project. If you're going to quilt it, you probably want to start off with like 11 by 21. Just give yourself like an extra inch in each direction, and that way you have it a little bit bigger. It'll shrink some, but you won't end up with a piece that's too short. once you trim it to size to start constructing it, okay? Let me grab, where'd my rotary cutter go? Here it is. So I always like cut my fabric to the size, and then I use my fabric as my template, and I place the wrong side of the fabric, which in this case doesn't really matter because it's dyed, on the scratchier side of the fusible batting. And the scratchy side is just like little tiny dots of the adhesive. The other side, and you can you see how sheer this is? It's like the perfect weight. It's light enough so that you're gonna give the project some drapiness still to it, but some structure at the same time. Of course, because it has that glue in it. We're gonna cut it here. And I know sometimes people that are new to like fusible battings and fleece, I get a lot of questions about like, does it gum up my machine? Is that too thick? Will my machine be able to sew through that once it's fused into place? What happens with the glue? You know, like all these questions. This is like the perfect one to start with because it's such a lightweight batting. So if you want to get into making more little bags and pouches and little baskets and all those kinds of, y'all know I have dozens, if not hundreds of tutorials on all that kind of stuff on my YouTube channel that you can look up. I'm always using something, a batting, a fusible batting, a fleece, yeah, question. Oh, where do I get the wax canvas is the question. So that canvas, we used to stock it, and it's a Robert Kaufman. It's called Waxer. I think you can still find some on Etsy from the different shops, but I know that last year, peak of summer, they were, I mean, I had ordered some fabric in April and I didn't get it till August or September because there were so many like shipping delays, and with the whole COVID thing, they were understaffed. And Robert Kaufman is based out of California, so you know everything shut down there. And I remember I tried to reorder and it was sold out in like a bunch of colors, and the only colors they had, I didn't want them. The joys of buying and stocking your own fabric, right? If it's not cute to me, I ain't getting it. But you can find, just look up, like if you go to Etsy or Google, you know, if you want to shop with a little shop or something, look up Waxer, wax canvas, just like that, and you'll see it. It comes in chunks. It's pretty pricey. I want to say it was like $25 a yard, $23.50 a yard, something like that. But it's wide, you know, it's a big piece. But yeah, it was fun to work with. I liked it. Some people were just like, yeah, I'm never using that again. It's kind of like, it's a weird textile to work with, but it's kind of cool. All right. I'm going to try and move over. Oh, you moved it to the left? So I'm okay here where I am? Okay, great. All right, so here's my fusible batting. And look at this. Even with the batting on it, I know it hasn't been fused yet, but look how drapey it is. So if you are a bag maker, you know that there's like 3 million different interfacings that you can use. Some people even like use their favorite and they layer it up twice. If you're looking for something like this, and it's hard to explain like what it's good for, but if you make bags, you know what I'm talking about. Like not too thick, not too thin, not like a fashion fuse, like a super just cotton woven, but something with a little bit more puffiness to it, like a thin batting, but that's also fusible. Definitely check out the light fusible batting. And again, all these products and stuff, we sell them in our online shop. So again, I'm going to do a quick double check, and I always do this, that the scratchy side is going here to whatever I want to be the wrong side of my fabric. Then my little spray bottle of water. Remember, I live out in the country. We have a well. I am not trying to put that hard water in my iron. So I love having the little spray mist bottle, and we have these in stock. We restocked them. We sold out. We restocked them again. So if you're looking for one of these, again, in our online shop. All right, let's see. Oh, that's awesome. Ann says my 2-hour tote is the bomb diggity. I'm so glad you love that tote. The 2-hour tote is my everyday tote. Between that one and the Essentials tote bag are the ones that I use all the time, and they are projects from the same bag club as this one. All right, so I'm just going to mist this lightly with water, and it's such a light mist. I love it. It's not like a, you know, super concentrated in one spot mist. Then I'm going to take my iron, and because I have the cotton over top, I'm going to leave my iron on like not the super full blast cotton setting, but cotton setting nonetheless. Let me fix my camera angle here, y'all, because it's, oh, camera went out. I did it again. Sorry. See if it pops up for you again. It's up? Oh, okay, weird. Okay, so now I'm going to hit it with the heat of the iron, and because I spritzed it with the water, the moisture, right? The heat, the moisture, creating steam, so it helps to fuse this into place. Now, only always fuse this, and this goes for most of these fusible battings and products. Most of them are some type of polyester synthetic, so you don't want to fuse from this side because it will just stick to your iron, okay? So always with a cotton fabric as the buffer in between. Okay, let me spritz it again. I want to make sure it's good and stuck down. Sometimes it can take a little bit, especially since my iron wasn't all the way hot. And it's so thin, you won't really have to leave it like 10 seconds in one spot. I mean, the batting is just right. So yeah, isn't it funny that tie-dye is making its 75,000 comeback? I feel like it's never gone away, y'all. So all the tie-dye, all the cool stuff dyeing. Oh, I forgot to, did y'all see my head wrap? I made this. Last year, my friend Kelly, who dyes the fabric, she invited us over her house, and this was like right before the shutdown, right? I think it was end of February or early March. My son and I went over her house with a couple of friends, and we all dyed stretch fabrics. I brought some like cotton jersey, some like cotton napkins. Let me just make sure. And anytime that you fuse a fusible batting or interfacing, just let it cool for a little bit, because while it's still hot, the adhesive is still in that melty kind of state, right? So you want it to cool so that then it just dries up and hardens up again with the fabric now. Look at that. So this is, if you know interfacings or you're learning about interfacings, look at the excitement. Like, look at the weight of this thing. It's so hard to like tell people. Like, it adds body, but look at this. It's still drapey. Okay, and it's like so thin. But it's not like a Durafuse, right? Because y'all know Durafuse is more paper-like, and it will stiffen it up, but it won't let it do this. And it's not like a fashion fuse, because the fashion fuse is like what the Pellon version of fashion fuse is, SF101, just 100% cotton woven interfacing. It just adds like another layer of fabric, but it doesn't have this, it's like this fluffy bite to it, like the thin batting does. So now I want to quilt it. So, oh, Miss Bernadine, how are you? She says she's working on the 2-hour tote this weekend. Awesome. Jackie B says she got her little mist bottle. She loves it. Great. Valerie too. She says, I love that spray bottle. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Susie Smith says, we be cool. You youngins just want to be cool like us who lived in the 60s and 70s. Okay. All right. So now for quilting it, if we have a look at the other one I showed y'all previously, I had this cross hatching design here, okay? And I drew these lines. Let me measure between them just to give you an idea in case you like the size of them. I want to say they're like 1 1/4 or 1.5 inch. Yeah, so the lines are 1.5 inch spaced apart in this direction, and then I went back and did the same thing in the opposite direction. So you can do that. Oh, I'm missing a little bit here. Hold on. There, now I see the steam right there. Another way that you can do this is actually wetting a piece of cotton or a cloth or a napkin. Wet it, squeeze the water out, then place it over top of your fabric, and then hit that cotton fabric with the iron. Okay, I don't see anywhere else where it's lifting up, so that should be good. Eunice is asking, is there a tutorial for this little shoulder bag that you're making? So it's not a tutorial, it's an online course that you can sign up for on our website, and it's called the Stroll Crossbody Bag. And you can make it out of wax canvas, you can make it out of regular canvas. And these were just some options that I had made when I released this bag back in 2019 to show that you don't have to interface everything, right? If you're working with a home deck weight fabric, if you have like a painter's drop cloth, have y'all seen that? That's like super hot. People like use it with all the paint splatters on it, then they cut it up and they make bags out of it. It's that heavy canvas weight. If you did something like that, you wouldn't even have to use the fusible batting. Because I'm using cotton fabric, this was just 100% like a Kona cotton that was dyed. All right, so in this case, I did go ahead and use the single-sided fusible or light fusible batting that we sell in our online shop. So the class, you can sign up for it at craftygemini.com. We have links for it below for you on if you're watching this on YouTube, and then also in the Facebook chat box. All right, so we are going to start by marking some quilting lines on here, and I wanted to share with you a couple different ways to do it. Recently, some of you that are in my Clammy Quilt Club had received the big box. You know, those of you that bought the box, it came with a 3-piece finger pressing set. And so in the club, I had made a bonus video for y'all to show you how I use the 3 tools. So I wanted to use the Hera marker today. And that 3-pack bundle of the pressing tool sets, like a stiletto, a pressing tool, if you want to like press seams open, is included. And then this is the Hera marker. And this thing is awesome if you want to mark your quilting lines without marking them, like no chalk, no fabric marker, no pen. This is just a creasing tool. And the lines, I think it's pretty impressive the way that the lines show up. And for me, who like works on something a little bit, then I have to go cook dinner, then I come back and work on it, then I go to work in the garden, then I come back, I don't have to worry about the water erasable ink disappearing. I live in Florida, it's super humid. I will mark things and like as I make a line, I see it just like dissipate before my very eyes. And it's like, no, I needed that line, where'd it go? So the Hera marker is going to allow me to make a crease and it's just gonna stay there. So you could start somewhere here in the center and start evening things out. I don't really care. I just want to quilt this somehow. So I'm going to start on the bottom corner here because I'm right hand dominant, okay? And, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with the wire for this, sorry. I moved it again and it turned off. All right, back on. So now I'm going to start on a corner, okay? And I'm just measuring from the edge of my ruler here to this dark line is 1 inch. And to this next dotted line is a 1/2 inch. So 1.5. And I just have it slightly angled. I mean, you can measure an exact 45-degree angle. It don't matter too much. And if you wanted it more densely quilted on the crosshatch, you can do these 1/2 inch apart. That would be a lot of quilting. You could do 1 inch apart. If you're familiar with like those Vera Bradley bags, you know how like all their bags have that little crosshatching on it. You can make your own bags that have the exact same quilting design. So all I do, you can see the shape of this thing, the little handle, okay? And look at that little thin blade. It's just plastic. And you just rub it along the edge of the ruler. That's it. And although that may be hard for y'all to see, for me, who needs to take it to a sewing machine to quilt, I can see it perfectly fine. And then I don't have to worry about the friction pen fiasco, right? Where some people are like, if the ink pops back up in cold climates, I don't have to worry about that here because I live in Florida. Or, you know, ink that then you have to take off, or chalk that doesn't disappear after you try and dust it off. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to use a Hera marker. So I can see the crisp, and actually, I want y'all to see exactly what I'm seeing here. Let me try not to move the camera. Do you see that crease line? Y'all can see that perfectly. That right there is the crease. So tell me that when you go to the sewing machine, you're going to have problems seeing that. It's like right there. Easy peasy, okay? So let's move on. Now, that line that I just marked with my little Hera marker, I'm going to place under my clear ruler here at the 1.5 inch mark. So again, let me see where I'm at right there. So I put my 1.5 right there, 1/2, and then 1, okay? And then I'm gonna mark the next one. And I'm not like scraping to distort and yank at the fabric. I'm just running that thin little blade back and forth, making sure that at the end, you know, beginning and ends, I'm seeing where exactly I need to start. Okay, so that second one is there. And I think you can kind of see that. It's weird because the gridded design of the fabric is also there. All right, so then I go place that one on 1.5 at the top and there, and then I'm gonna go across. Same thing. And I think you'll be able to see it better on the darker bit too, but I mean, I love that. This crease is not going anywhere, y'all. Nowhere. Can you see that third one? I think you can see it pretty good up there. Okay, so same thing. Now I put that line at 1.5 and I just keep working my way over. You'll get to a point where you'll probably need a bigger ruler if you're just working with a smaller one like I am here. So if you have a long strip ruler, that will definitely come in handy. Oop, went off. There. Let me just pop into the chat real quick. And I like to show this bit, right? Because if you're going to be making something, somebody will say, well, if you want to make quilted fabric, you know, just quilt your fabric and go. But rarely do people walk you through the actual quilting for a regular sewing machine. So this is how you would do the cross hatching, okay? And I'm just sliding it up because I can see my previous line. Line this guy up. And now you can see that I'm going to start running out of space here for the ruler. So if it's a little bit like that, just a little off, here's what I do. I will hold it there and I just slide my ruler down, keeping that same angle. And there's that next one. And now I'm going to reach over and grab my big strip ruler and just keep going. And this way, it is a little bit of prep work. I mean, when you quilt anything, it's going to be prep work. But this is a whole lot easier than free motion quilting, I think. It's easy to follow whether or not you have a walking foot. And look at the size of the panel. It's super little. This is like the perfect little project to make something cute, functional, feature a scrap of fabric that might be too small to do other stuff with it, but too big to just get rid of it, right? So again, this is my Stroll Crossbody Bag, and it's a paid-for course that I sell in my online shop. And we have the links for it below. Perfect. Boom, boom, boom. I have maybe 6, 7 lines. I'm going to finish off here. I just have a couple more to go. And then take a wild guess what thread I'm going to be using to quilt this. If you've been watching my lives this past week, you probably already know. Okay, next one. So this is super cool, I was saying, because when you mark it, you don't have to worry about the lines disappearing on you before you get a chance to quilt it. And then on the opposite side of the quilting, you don't have to worry about the lines or the marking or the chalk or the pen staying there longer than you want. So a crease is perfect because the crease ain't going nowhere. And whenever you get back to working on the project, you can always go back and complete it. Yeah, here it's easier for me to see in the darker bit. Okay. And then I just have, so here's another thing. If you don't want to take too long with this marking part, you can just draw, or I was going to say draw, but you can just scratch in the lines in one direction and leave it like that. Like if you quilt like this, just on this one direction diagonals, it will still be quilted. But obviously you'd have to do twice the amount if we want the diagonals to go in the opposite direction. So I am actually going to do that. But you know what? Let's go ahead and quilt it in one direction first. So no one says that you have to, right, to sketch or draw your lines in both directions before going to quilt. So that's like, you can totally decide which way you want to go. If I decide, okay, maybe let me stitch these lines first, one, so they show up better for me to go ahead and draw the lines in the opposite direction. What you don't want to do is scrape into your stitches. So I would say don't use such a large stitch length if you're going to go ahead and quilt it now, but I am, so that I can at least do a little bit more than just scratch lines into my fabric. Let me pop in here and then get my sewing machine all set up for y'all. So that's the hair marker. It works great. Obviously, it's easiest to work with it in straight lines. You're not going to be like sketching out a whole flower or anything super curvy with this, but for those straight lines, it works great. Okay, let's see. Okay. Susie says glide. You guessed correctly, Miss Susie. All right. All right. Did we still have more pressing tools? Or did they sell out or what? I thought we had some. Okay. Let me go ahead and set this up here. Look who I have. My workhorse Juki, the LB5020. Let me set this up here. Okay, and then I have my glide thread, you can't see that, over here set up on my standalone thread guide that we talked about earlier this week. Okay, so we sell that in the shop too. We have the thread in a bunch of colors. I'm getting ready to restock this weekend, or to place another order to restock this weekend, but we still have a bunch of colors. We carry 23 colors of the glide thread, and I think we may be sold out of 3. So we still have a lot. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's start. And y'all know, I've talked about this before because I've done plenty of quilting on this little machine here. I don't have to put a walking foot on this machine. Now, this is a machine that we do sell in our shop. It's like my go-to for beginners, or if you need a travel machine, a retreat machine, or you have maybe a child or a younger student that's like leveling up and wants to get into sewing, would be this machine. If you've been watching my lives since last year, I've sewn everything from tissue rayon knit fabrics to like super quilted stuff. Now, I think with the light, can you see the line? Now with the light of the machine, I can see the lines even better. Okay, so I have my glide thread in. Guess the color, light gray. I always say that. That's my #1 go-to color, okay? And I'm going to lengthen my stitch length a little bit because, again, this is not a construction seam. I always say this. If I'm top stitching or it's some kind of decorative stitching, I always like to lengthen my stitch length. So instead of 2.2, which is the default stitch length here, let's go up to like 3 millimeters. Why not? I think that will work fine. All right, so T is asking, do we stock hardware for this bag? So we did. We're currently sold out, but if you go into the online shop at craftygemini.com/shop, just on the top right-hand corner, you'll see like a little magnifying glass. It's how you search the online shop. If you type in Stroll for Stroll Crossbody Bag, 2 items will pop up. It's a Stroll Crossbody Bag video course and then the hardware kit, and you can add yourself to the wait list. And that way, as soon as we restock it, we'll just send an email to the entire wait list and y'all will know that it's restocked. But yes, we typically do. We're just currently sold out. And it comes with the little webbing and then the little hardware that you need. The little lobster clasp and the D-rings and stuff. All right, so I have my stitch length set to 3 millimeters in length. Oh, Margie says you stock the best items. Thank you, Margie. We're always adding stuff. Did y'all see we added new things to the shop today? We have, speaking of which, my favorite little foldable seam ripper, must have. You don't have to worry about losing the cap to your seam ripper. That can be dangerous. So I always keep these in like my retreat bags, class bags, notions, pouches, and stuff like that. And it just pops out. And we have it in 3 different colors. So we just added those today. Okay. Nancy's asking, does this Juki come with a hard cover? Ooh, I can't remember. And I'm looking back here, Nancy. I use these machines so often that I usually keep whatever comes in it in the box, and I can't think. You know what? It does. I'm just remembering to when I did the video. Nancy, I have a couple of videos on YouTube showing my review. There's one called the unboxing of the Juki LB5020. Look up that video on YouTube. Just type in Crafty Gemini Juki. It'll pop right up. I have so many Juki videos. But it'll pop up for you. And when I take it out of the box, I remember pulling out a hard case. So yes. And that's actually, I think, one of the things that I mentioned in the video where I'm like, I'm impressed that for like 300 and something bucks, you even get a hard case. Usually, even up to the $400 or $500, you just get the little flimsy clear vinyl one. Okay, so here we go. I have my glide thread in there. I have a bobbin with the exact same glide thread. Remember, glide is that 40 weight polyester thread that we use. Oh, did I lose my thread? I sure did. It wasn't even threaded. What was I thinking? Let me go ahead and thread this. Lord, I didn't even thread the machine. And I just have an 80-12 needle in here, an 80-12 universal size needle. That's another thing, right? These are all the little things that you're thinking, well, if I'm fusing the fleece or the batting to it, is it going to be too thick? What kind of needles do I need? You can get away with an 80-12 universal. Remember, I said the batting is not even that thick. It's fused, easy peasy. All right, now we're talking. So now what I'm doing is, because we have our lines that I'm following, I just make sure to set my machine to the center needle position. And I just, most of the presser feet have like a little groove or a cutout right down the center of the presser foot. I'm just writing the line that I sketched out with the hair marker right on it. And I get to the end. The only thing is that if you're working on a sewing machine that doesn't have an automatic thread cutter, you're going to be doing a lot of cutting threads at the beginning and at the ends. But we're used to that, right? If you've ever learned or you still work on a vintage sewing machine, you know that that's the story of your life. So just like that, super duper easy. So that's the setup, okay? 80-12 universal needle, the fusible batting, 1 layer of cotton with the batting, the glide thread, and the glide thread is in the bobbin, the same exact thread. Okay. And again, the glide thread is what I use. Anytime I'm quilting, whether it's on a sewing machine, my sit-down semi-industrial, or even my long arm, most of the time that's what I use. I play around with other threads too, you know, but look how easy this is. Like, I can just glide it through. I don't need a walking foot. I mean, it's a little bit of prep work and a little bit of stitching. Obviously, the longer your stitch length is, the quicker you're going to be able to sew this. So, like I said earlier, if you mark your lines closer together, it's just going to take you longer to stitch. But look at that. Let me just look at them stitches. And that is light gray. Doesn't that look cute? Super pretty. And I find that by lengthening that stitch length just a hair for decorative stitching like this, you know, any type of top stitching or quilting, I just love the stitch definition that you get. Okay. I went off here a little bit. I see 2 marks. Okay, here. Now, if your machine struggles to sew through bulk, when you have like multiple, and I'm not talking like super bulky, I'm just saying like fabric to batting, something like this, you may want to get a walking foot for it if it didn't come with one. I know not all machines these days come with walking feet, but usually if you can find out whether it's a high shank or a low shank sewing machine, then you can get a generic one, you know. Oh yes, Gloria says the hair marker would be great to mark the X at the bottom of the bowl cozies. Absolutely, that's a perfect project for that. And then especially if you're making the bowl cozies like assembly line style, I know a lot of you are making them for my tutorial, then yeah, that would be perfect. Now, I just noticed I did something, and I'll talk about it in a second. Let me finish stitching this line. That I do not recommend that you normally do if you were just like spray basting the fabric to the batting. I was able to do this because I'm using a fusible batting. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's the deal. If you start quilting your lines, and this is going to apply for all your quilting if you're doing it on a sewing machine, typically you know that we start in the center somewhere, okay? And then you work your way out in one direction and out in the other so that you don't get any bubbled up fabric, right? I didn't have to do that because I fused my fabric down to the batting. So there's no bubbling anywhere because now the fabric and the batting are one layer together. So keep that in mind when you're working with at least good quality fusible battings and interfacings, okay? Then another thing is I started off on this corner, and then I went to this line, and then I went to this line, and this line, and then on this last one, did you see that I flipped the whole thing over and I went in this direction? Normally, if you were working with just a separate layer of batting that was not fused, I would not recommend that because what happens? The fabric is being pushed in one direction across 4 or 5 of these lines, then I flip the whole thing, and then as I come down on the line, now it's being pulled in the opposite direction. So if that's ever happened to you and you get some drag lines in the fabric, that's why. Why I could do that here is because, again, I fused the fabric to the batting. It is one layer. That fabric is not separating from it. So, you know, keep those things in mind when you are quilting with at least this fusible batting. So there's definitely more than one pro to using it. But you can see that now because the fabric is bumping up here on the throat or the bed of the machine, the back of it, I'm just going to slightly roll it just like you would with a bigger quilt if you were quilting it. But I mean, that hero marker, you can see the lines exactly, I mean, just perfect. Okay. All these thread tails drive me nuts. Okay, Linda's asking, she says she's trying to find the Mister bottle on the website. So you can go to craftygemini.com/shop. If you just scroll a little bit, it's a pretty new item that we added to the shop recently. So just scroll up and maybe on the 3rd line down, you'll see it. But we'll go ahead and put the link for you in the chat as well in case you still can't find it. All right, so because I went this way, and this was bumping up here, remember I rolled it, but now I only have this little bit. So again, because I'm using a fusible batting, I can flip this around and now stitch in the opposite direction. Whereas if your fabric and your batting layers were separate and loose, you would get too much movement, I think, in this fabric here. And it happens quite often. Especially because I'm not even using a walking foot, right? If you were using a walking foot, The walking foot has feed dogs on top. So you have the feed dogs at the base of the machine under the presser foot, pulling your fabric back, and then the feed dogs too. So you can lessen that distortion by using a walking foot. But if you don't use one and your specific machine really chomps down on your fabric, like the pressure, the amount of pressure being put on the fabric by the presser foot, if it's too much, it will also do that, because the more layers you add to it, the more it's squishing down to still go ahead and stitch on it, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Oh, and I left my needle. Okay. So yeah, for everyone that was asking me when I featured the glide thread last week on the long arm machine, I know I got a lot of people asking, can you use that same thread to quilt on a sewing machine? This is what I'm doing here. It's in the bobbin and it's on the top as well. And it works like a dream. Okay. Oh, thanks, Dawn. She says, I love that crossbody bag design. For those of you just tuning in, I am here quilting this hand-dyed, indigo-dyed panel that my friend Kelly dyed for me so that I can make my daughter one of these. I'll show y'all the quilted one because the wax canvas is not what I'm doing. I'm quilting it so that I can make my Stroll Crossbody Bag like this. Okay, it's just a super quick, easy pouch. Even for the big phones. I have that big iPhone, the 12 Pro Max, and you can see that there's still plenty of room for keys. I could probably fit a sock knitting project in here. I mean, it's chunky, but not huge, right? And that way, if you need to be hands-free, you can just throw it crossbody, throw your essentials in there, lip gloss, a couple cards, some cash, and keys. All right. So you can see the prep work involved, obviously. Because I'm quilting it, right? If you were working straight away with a fabric that had more body to it, like, what is that canvas fabric called? Even like a linen blend. Some of these Robert Kaufman hand-dyed linens are like, I don't know if they're heavier than the quilting cotton, but they sure do feel like they have more body to them. But if you use the fabric that felt a little bit heftier, you could skip the quilting part, the batting part, right? And just go ahead and make it with that, like I did with the wax canvas. Because at the same time, although the exterior fabric may not be super chunky, you're still adding lining to the inside, okay? So that's still gonna add another layer of structure to the interior. All right, I'm down to the last line on this side. And I'm gonna have a look at it and see, this is oftentimes how I work. I'm gonna look at it, I did this step, look at it and see. Gauge my feeling. Do I have time? Do I feel like doing more lines? Do I want to do the cross hatching in the opposite direction? All the things, right? So, y'all know me. I always have to press things after I sew them, even though they're not like really sewing. Try not to turn off my camera. Okay. Oh, my iron wasn't even hot. I was freaking out like, oh no, I'm going to scorch it, but it was just kicking back on. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a press. Can you see how beautiful that looks? And that's when you know that the fusible is really adhered. There's no drag lines. If you've quilted on the diagonal before, you know what I'm talking about. Because the stitching and the way that the fabric is feeding through the machine is oftentimes on the bias. And so that fabric is stretched out. But with this fusible batting, so cute. Okay, so to me, because the lines are kind of spaced apart, it does feel like I definitely need more lines of quilting. So clearly I'm going to be here all night, quilting straight lines onto this little pouch. But I'm going to start on the other side. I'm going to pop in real quick and see questions. Let me see where I want to go. I'm going to set it up like this. And place this one here at 1.5. And remember what I said, make sure that you don't use this little tip of it or try to like pluck up some of the stitches, because then you're really going to mess it up. But you could also have drawn both, the lines in both directions before you stitched. But this is going easy peasy for me. Let me do one more, then I'll pop into the chat and see if there's any specific questions for me. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Mary's asking, could I show you all the strapping? So the strap for this project is super simple because it's just like webbing and it just gets fed through the hardware. But I have some tutorials on how to make different types of, oh, I have a tutorial on how to make an adjustable strap for a purse on my YouTube channel. Whenever, I'll give y'all another tip. If you're new around here too, especially, I have hundreds, like over 600 video tutorials for free on my YouTube channel. It's called The Crafty Gemini. And so if you like my teaching style or you're trying to see like, hey, what is this girl teaching, or does she have a video on this or that? All you got to do is go to youtube.com and in the search box, type in Crafty Gemini and then follow that with whatever words you are looking for. So Crafty Gemini, milking a cow. That video will pop up for you. Crafty Gemini, purse. Anything that I have labeled with the word purse will pop up for you. And there's going to be dozens of videos. So Crafty Gemini, thread. Crafty Gemini, tension. Crafty Gemini, long arming. Crafty Gemini, basket. All my basket tutorials will pop up for you, like fabric basket tutorials. So that's all you got to do. If you're looking for mine specifically, type in Crafty Gemini and then follow that with whatever keywords, okay? Lisa says she uses my adjustable strap video all the time. I love it. Awesome, Lisa. Thanks. Okay, great. Liz is asking, what do I have on the bag for a strap? It's just a 1/2-inch webbing. That's all it is, just 1/2-inch webbing. And that's kind of like the quickie route out, right? You can obviously make your own. I like the 1/2-inch because it kind of goes with the small compact nature of the bag and it just makes it kind of like a smaller footprint on your body. This does not really warrant even a 1-inch. Like that's kind of clunky for me for this type of a little crossbody, like a quick crossbody bag out the door type of pouch. And of course, the webbing, when it's already like that, for people that are selling it, it works like a dream because you just focus on making the bags and then you just clip a chunk of webbing on. So it saves you time and I think it balances out because with the metal hardware and the metal zipper, it kind of elevates the bag and then it's like, and I'm gonna take a shortcut with this webbing. That's how I see it. But you can always make it out of fabric. You can make it out of a cute ribbon, whatever you wanted to do, obviously, okay? All right, let's see. Okay, I see this. Okay. So yeah, so any type of webbing, 1/2-inch works with that, and then the hardware is all 1/2-inch hardware, and I'll show you on this one. I use the 1/2-inch D-rings. Remember, we're currently out of stock of the hardware kit that we sell for this bag, but if you find it in our online shop, just type in Stroll for the Stroll Crossbody Bag. When you do a search, the class will pop up in the hardware kit. It'll say sold out. You can just add yourself to the wait list. And so it's the D-rings that these clip to, okay? So if you take it off, then you just have this little pouch. And the way that I've worn it before too is with a shorter strapping thing hooked to it. And then I just wear it like around my waist, like a little hip pouch. So it's quite convertible, I would say, right? With different ways that you can wear it. If you don't like a crossbody bag, just make the strap short and just wear it like straight over the shoulder. So that's an option too. And the way that I designed this was with other bag, a couple, was it 1 or 2 other bags that we had in the same club that used the same strap. So it was like make one and clip it from different pouch to pouch of how you want to wear it, you know, save you some time. Okay. Lori says, wait, does that bag have a metal zipper? It absolutely does. It doesn't have to, but it does. Isn't that cute? I think it makes it look so chic. I love that. This white zipper on the navy wax canvas. So cute. Yeah, all these 3 were made with metal zippers. You don't have to use a metal zipper, right? You can use, if you have craft zippers, I know a lot of you buy these by the bundle and you just have like your regular number 3 craft zippers. That works too. But I was going to be using this one, this metal zipper, as I complete this. But definitely, obviously, we're running up on time here. So I'm going to keep drawing my lines because I do want the cross hatching on this bag. And then I'm going to continue making it this weekend. So just be on the lookout on social media, like on my Instagram and Facebook pages. I'll probably share a picture of the finished little bag so y'all can see how it turned out. But again, The Stroll Crossbody Bag is a paid-for course that you can sign up for in my online class. There's 6 step-by-step video lessons walking you through how to make the pouch. It's fully lined. There's no raw edges anywhere, like not even on the side of the zipper, all throughout here, everywhere. Super nicely finished, and I think that that's one of the reasons a lot of my students are actually selling these, because they can make them super quick, but then, you know, when you're trying to sell it to somebody, it's like very professionally finished. It doesn't look like you just threw something together. Okay. So Kay is asking, do you plan to finish it on Whip Wednesday? So no, Kay, I'm actually going to finish it probably tonight or tomorrow. And thank you for asking me about Whip Wednesday, because I wanted to give y'all an update. Go ahead and point my, look at you. Okay. So update for y'all. Next week is kids spring break week. And so we had set it up so we have some big projects here on the homestead that I'm going to be working. I love this thing. I dyed it, y'all. Didn't I do a good job on this little... So cute. Look at this. And it's just like a scrap piece of cotton jersey. Anyways, I ordered the kids a trampoline. We got to build that. The garden, I just got some deer fencing to try and keep my free-range chickens out of my big garden, because I got to get all these plants in the ground. And so I have decided that I'm going to take a while off of the lives. I don't know yet. Maybe 8 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. I don't know. But if you're on my email newsletter, don't worry. I'll still be sending out email updates showing y'all what I'm working on. And I will be finishing up my bag club so that I can obviously launch and open that. So for those things, you know, I'll go live when I have to announce those things. But I am going to be taking maybe 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks off from the twice a week weekly lives. I was looking at the calendar like, wow, I've been doing this for like a year already, going live twice a week. Okay, so... that's what I'm going to be doing. I will let y'all know via email, like what's coming up next, what we're doing. And if you're not signed up to my email newsletter, you definitely want to get on there. To sign up, all you got to do is go to craftygemini.com. You'll see a link that says email sign up. You add your email, you get an email, click the confirmation link, you're in. And that's going to be the easiest way for me to keep in touch with you, because y'all know on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, it doesn't show you all the things that you follow. So you're more likely to miss the details and the update if you're just following me on Facebook and Instagram and whatever. Okay, so go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you learned any little tips about marking stuff, hair marker, fabric, fusible batting. I mean, I still covered a little bit and I barely did anything. So I'm going to be working on a Stroll Crossbody Bag for Allie with this so that she can wear it to her little bookmark sale thing that she's working on. And... yeah, and then I'll just keep y'all posted on what we're working on here with our big projects. I got to get some flowers in. The whole front garden is empty. It's just wood chips. I want to get some flowers in there now that the weather here is starting to warm up some. It's going to be in the 40s these next couple nights, but it should be warming up pretty good. All right, so thank you so much. Oh, I see some of y'all like my headband, y'all. It's literally a scrap piece of fabric that I tied behind my ponytail. But now it was like, oh, wait, tie-dye is in. So hold on. Let me shine with a little bit of tie-dye, too, that I dyed. Indigo dyed. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for understanding. Mary says, yes, we understand. Take some time off. Some of you are saying you deserve it. It'll be fun. I'll be able to come back with even more content, more stuff for y'all. And I'll keep you posted on my Facebook, YouTube accounts, Instagram, and all the things. All right? I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, for tuning in this week, and I hope y'all have a great weekend. I'll see you when I see you. Bye. YouTube accounts, Instagram, and all the things, all right? I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, for tuning in this week, and I hope y'all have a great